In wrapping up our chapter on understanding light, it's important that we get to touch again on white balance. Now, we have two slides here because I feel like there's two approaches to white balance. There's the corrective side, where we're basically correcting white balance issues that we have in differing color temperatures. Then there's also the creative side, where we change the color of a flash or change the color of our light because we want to get a stylistic or creative use out of it. So let's cover the more corrective side first. Now, those of you that have watched Photography 101, you'll recognize this little diagram. This is our color temperature diagram showing kind of some of the basic light temperatures of different indoor lights versus outdoor lights. So we have match flame candlelight, which is roughly just under 2000 degrees Kelvin. We have, like, say, household tungsten and halogen lights like the lights behind us, which are roughly 2500 degrees up to 3000 degrees. And things like flash. Flash is 5500 degrees, LED, LCD, CRT, these are all around 5500 degrees Kelvin. Going straight below there, we have average noon outdoor sunlight. This is also 5500 degrees Kelvin, but depending on times of day, the sunlight is also going to change in color. So during sunrise and sunset, we're really far closer to this type of light in the background, that orange light, than we are this kind of neutral white 5500 degree Kelvin look. We're at 2000 to 3000 degrees Kelvin. At nighttime, let's say during blue skies, twilight, that nighttime color temperature is generally around 7500 to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. Okay, so whenever we're shooting in these different situations, if you find that the light that you're adding to the scene, the light that you're adding with flash doesn't quite match the light naturally in the scene, this is where we want to add corrective white balancing. Basically, we want to change the light here, and we can do that in a couple different ways. Let me show you two simple ways. I'm going to show you an inexpensive way and then, well, our favorite way. So the most inexpensive way, which we still do to this day as well, and we have our people on our staff, we don't want to buy mag mods for everybody because they're a little bit more expensive, so I kind of buy them for myself. So the simple way to do it is to buy gel sheets. This is a gel. They generally come in sheets that are quite large. They're probably like 2 by 3 feet and so forth, and they can cut into, like, say, you can make about 15 to 20 of these from one sheet of gel, which is only 10 bucks, 15 bucks or so, from either your local camera store, or we just get them from B&H online because it's free shipping, free tax, and so forth. Free tax, no tax, whatever. But all we do is we apply a little Velcro strip on both sides of this. We apply a little bit of Velcro to the flash, and then simply we just tape this over the flash. Not the most elegant solution, but this totally works. So this is a very simple and inexpensive way to gel all your flashes. Velcro is very cheap. The gel sheets themselves are very cheap, and it's awesome. But if you want a more elegant solution, my favorite solution for really, we're going to use it for not only just gelling, but also for grids and for light modification and so forth, is the mag mod. And what you do is you just attach this little rubber strip right over the flash head, and it has magnets on both sides of this. And the mag mod system, which is 80 bucks, comes with gels, it comes with various color gels. The gel holder, it also comes with grids and so forth, and then you just basically attach this and it attaches via magnets, and so now you have a gelled flash. So essentially what we've done here is we've just changed the color temperature of this flash to CTO. That's the flash that that's the gel that I have on here, is a color temperature orange CTO gel. We'll talk about gels in a little bit more as we go forward, but if there was one color gel that I would say you must have in your toolkit, it is a CTO gel. It's because it's the most universal. You can use it during sunrise, during sunset to kind of neutralize. You can use it beyond to create creative effects, which we'll show you. You can use it indoors as well. But let's show you what it's done in this particular scene. So here we have this scene where I'm shooting Jill. It's basically right where the sun is setting, right on the horizon. We're getting a really beautiful light, super orange, and every minute as it sets closer and closer to the horizon, it's getting more and more orange, okay? So what I notice is, as I take my first shot, I have my white balance at 5600 degrees Kelvin. The sunlight, it looks just a little bit too orange, but my flash looks right about right. The flash that's over the shadow area to skin, I haven't blocked out the light basically. So we have a bit of sunlight on our cheek, and then around the areas of shadow, you can see where the flash is. The flash looks decent. It looks okay. The color temperature is fine, but the sunlight is too orange. If I drop my color temperature in camera, if I drop the white balance to 4600 degrees Kelvin, then the sunlight looks pretty decent. It looks much more neutralized, much less orange basically. But the flash, it ends up looking blue because it's at 5500 degrees Kelvin. So my option is I simply add a gel to my flash, And then what we've done is we basically added a scrim. So we use one scrim to block off the light coming from the sun. And all that does, that scrim is just a transparent, or not transparent, but semi-transparent white piece of fabric, just a 5-in-1 Westcott scrim. And we just hold it there to shear off the direct sunlight. So no more direct sunlight on her. Then we use another reflector. So it's just another Westcott 5-in-1, and I have my gelled flash. I bounce into that 5-in-1 and then onto her. And we get this beautiful balance. Look at this. This is at 3,800 degrees Kelvin. Again, the sun is setting pretty quickly, so you can see that the sun has gotten even a little bit more orange, because over here, we're at 5,600K and it's much more neutral. Over here, we're at 3,800 and it's still quite orange. So the sun is getting more orange as it sets. But look at how beautifully it's balanced. Look at how she's kind of that nice, natural, warm tone, and it's the same as the background. It looks like we just used natural sunlight for this shot. But in reality, it is gelled flash that gets us that look. So that's how we've done it. Of course, you can use, by the way, a reflector stand. Generally, where we shoot on the beach, stands don't hold up well when you put reflectors next to them because they're like giant sails and the wind will knock them over. So I just have my assistants hold them up. But let's talk about the 5 primary tips when it comes to using corrective white balance. Tip number 1, I want you all to gel to match the dominant light. And here's the thing. If I'm shooting a scene like this, where the background lights, these are probably like close to 2,600, 2,800 degrees Kelvin. They're very, very orange lights. I'm not gonna gel so that those lights look white. I don't want those lights to look white. I just want it to be less orange. So I might gel this to a standard CTO, which would be like 3,600 degrees Kelvin. The background is still gonna be warm. I'm not gonna try and get it to go neutral because it would end up looking very bland and very boring. And I don't want my light to look like pure white. I want it to still have some of the ambience and have that emotion to it. But what I do want is I want to gel to the primary light. So if my primary light in a room is that light, I'll pop a CTO on rather than using a blue flash head, just bearable or like bare flash. If, for example, I go into a wedding reception and there's still a lot of daylight coming through the windows. So maybe I have chandeliers that are closer to that color temperature as the lights in the background. But the dominant light in the room is still daylight because it's still bright outside. I would leave my flash ungelled. I want to gel to the dominant light. If I don't, what ends up happening is we end up mixing light, and mixed light over a subject does not look good. If part of their face is covered in yellow light and part of their face is covered in blue light, it's not gonna look good. Okay, so tip number 2. The most commonly needed gel, like I mentioned, is a CTO gel. Okay, so that's the one gel. We can use it for corrective lighting purposes. We can use it for creative white balance purposes. We can use it for tons of things. Now they make blue gels and green gels and gels for every type of situation. That's great to have those. But the one gel that I would recommend having is a CTO, standard full CTO. They make CTOs, by the way, color temperature orange gels in full CTO, half CTO, quarter CTO, and so forth. But look, just get a full CTO gel sheet and you should be good. If you want to play around with blues and greens and so forth, then by all means, go for it. Number 3, remember that whenever you gel, whenever you apply a filter over your flash, if you'll notice, if you look through this, it actually is darkening the screen a little bit. Well, it's doing the same thing in your flash. Gelling is going to reduce your flash power by a bit, okay? So anytime you add a gel, you're going to need to power up a little bit because you're losing a bit of flash power. Number 4 is to make sure, this is one of the things that kind of, as people are gelling their flashes and just kind of learning, is probably the most notorious mistake, is that they don't gel the entire flash head. For example, if you cut this too thin and you cover part of the head and there's part of the head that's open, well, you're getting 5,500 degrees Kelvin out of this little strip right here on each side, and then you're getting 3,600 out of this, and you're ending up mixing light. So just remember that you want to cover the entire head of the flash. So don't be stingy. These things are like 10 bucks. Why aren't you gonna cut them large enough? Gosh, just cover the heads, people. I'm just kidding. Okay, last, gels can be stacked to further alter color. If, for instance, I'm in a scene where one CTO doesn't get me to that corrective white balance that I need, well, I can add another half CTO, quarter CTO, or another full CTO over that gel to double it. But remember, again, if we're adding more gels, we're cutting flash power. All right, so that's it for corrective white balance. Let's move to the next video where we talk about creative white balance, which is really my favorite way to use gels.